Welcome to HireSmart Virtual Assistant's newest edition of Company Spotlight. We celebrate the best in our clients and want to recognize them for the leaders that they are. We hope you enjoy listening in and that you're able to pick up some words of wisdom that you can apply in your own business. Welcome to the show. Good morning. My name is Ann Lackey. I am the co-founder of HireSmart Virtual Assistants, and I am excited to have Jay Berube with us today. And Jay is a realtor, property manager, and real estate trainer and coach, and he has helped real estate agents and property managers bridge the largest gap in real estate, which is about sales. And if you've ever heard Jay, he is amazing, provides a great amount of value to you. I love listening to him. He helps his clients focus on specific sales skills and commands. He simplifies the sales process, and it makes it easier for agents to level up their sales game and sell more homes, which of course, if you're listening, whether you're an agent or a property manager, it doesn't matter. We all need more homes in our inventory. Isn't that right, Jay?
Yep, that's right. More doors, more sales.
Exactly. So he's had 15 years of experience. He's in the top 1% of real estate agents in the nation. And he's had over $325 million in real estate, and he has sold over 1,400 homes. That is an amazing amount of homes. And he believes in freedom through influence. And when you influence more people, you change more lives. And I love that because I love to change lives too. And before we get started, I always love to ask the question of all of my guests, like, what are they most proud of? What is their biggest accomplishment? When I asked Jay, he told me he is most proud of creating more freedom in the lives of real estate agents and property managers. So Jay, welcome to the show. We are so glad that you guys have joined us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Ann.
Is there anything else that you'd like to add as kind of a beginning point to this journey to our listeners before we get started into some of the other questions I have for us today?
No, I'm excited to dig into the questions and get going.
Perfect. All right. So the purpose of this particular spotlight is to really share some of the leaders in our industry and kind of what are they doing, what's their specialty, what's their secret sauce. And so, Jay, tell us a little bit first about your company and where you're located and kind of your strengths in the market.
Sure. So I will kind of wrap it all up in a bow because I'm not the traditional person, I guess you would say. Never have been. But yeah, when I started real estate about 15 years ago, I was selling a lot of new construction homes. And I was representing buyers. It was mostly sight unseen stuff. And this was in Southwest Florida. Then people got their hand caught in the cookie jar because it was all speculation, flipping contracts, like it was nuts. And there was this moment where properties weren't selling anymore. And people could not flip and make $30,000 by assigning a contract. And they said, well, what do I do now? And one time I said, have you considered renting it out? And that started the road to property management for me. And over the course of those, say, 6-7 years, I was getting a lot of agent referrals and built up to like almost 400 doors. Didn't really have good, strong systems in place at that time. I was kind of just running around with pulling my hair out. And then built my sales business up as well. Fast forward, I got into, I took all of my sales skills that I've developed over the years, because that's one of the things that in the real estate industry and the property management industry is almost completely absent. In real estate, to get a real estate license in most states, you go and take, I know, right? It's laughable just thinking about it. 60 to 80 hours of class time to sell someone's most valuable asset.
And it doesn't teach you anything about the business. It teaches you riparian rights.
Exactly. It's completely nuts. So all you need is that and a high school diploma, and then all of a sudden you can start selling real estate. So there's all these sales skills that are absent. I developed being able to understand neuro-linguistic programming, influence, the way people use body language, the way that they speak, how to ask questions, like all of these different things from different trainings and stuff like that over the years. So That's where my niche and my specialty is. And to give you an idea of how that works for me, in the last 2 years of selling real estate, selling almost 100 homes a year, 80% of the clients' homes that I sold, I never met face to face. So it's all over the phone, and it's all building that relationship over the phone. A good friend of mine who's really big in the property management industry, he was asking me how my conversion is with cold property management leads coming in. And I said, on average, I'll talk to a new cold lead for about 12 minutes, and I'll set the appointment, and it's a phone appointment, and then 15-minute conversation on the phone, and I'll close them and get the door. So essentially under 30 minutes to close new units. And he's like, that's unfathomable.
Yeah, no, that's a great statistic. And I think, it's something that a lot of the property managers aspire to, but don't know how to get there. So how long have you been in just overall in real estate business? How many years have you been in business?
15 years. Yeah.
And kind of share with our listeners a little bit about your staff structure on the real estate side and the property management, or if you have those kind of mixed together, kind of share with us a little bit how your staff is.
Yeah, there was a time about 5-6 years ago where I decided to have two separate brokerages, one for the sales, one for the property management. So, in essence, at that time, it was really to build a complete different set of books in case I wanted to sell either one of the companies. But it evolved into more than that, because no matter even though I have the two separate companies, they work so closely together. And I'll tell you, honestly, I've tried leaving property management like so many times, but it's pulling me back. It's like I'm sober now for like 11 years, but I used to try quitting drinking all the time, but I couldn't do it. So it's like the same thing with property management. It's like the drug of choice.
Well, I think some property managers are surprised that you don't drink. I don't drink either. So everybody's like, how do you survive? I'm like, well, we just do it. It's just part of it. So you have two separate companies. How many people work in each company?
Yeah, there's I have an operations manager that oversees those two companies. They're both in Florida. I live in North Carolina now. You didn't even know that.
I didn't. Exactly. Congratulations.
I'm actually opening a real estate brokerage here in Charlotte that we're launching in the next 30 days. So that's very exciting. And that's going to be complementing my partner's property management company up here as well. So there's an operations manager. She oversees Kristen. She oversees those companies, and then we have Shelby as an assistant property manager. We have a couple of remote team members, as we call them, through your great company.
Thank you.
And then we have a listing coordinator, essentially, that kind of goes back and forth between the two. And then I have a couple of agents on the sales side.
Well, that's great. It's so interesting to hear that you've moved to Charlotte, because a lot of people get stuck and they're like, well, I just don't know how this remote thing works. I'm like, I promise you it works. And so even as a business owner, you don't have to be located necessarily where your business is.
It's funny, when I was leaving, like June 5th or something, I was leaving my office for the last time with a box. When you get fired, you have like your box of stuff. Yeah. And I was walking out and I took a video of myself and I was like, this is surreal. I am now a remote team member for my own company. And it's really hard to fathom, but so many people, especially in real estate, think that as the agent, once you're done, then that business dies.
Right.
Which is not true, not for real estate or not for property management. Your end game should be to stop trading time for dollars.
For money.
Yeah. And remote team members do a great job at that.
Well, I love to hear that, because I started in investing. I came into this world as an investor, very similar kind of strategy that you did, new homes that needed property manager, because we had people that were buying these new homes and needing management. So that's kind of how we got started too. And, it's so funny to me that so many real estate professionals do exactly what you just said. They trade their time for money. And while it's a big payoff, when you actually calculate the dollar per hour, I'm not so sure it's as it's as lucrative as people necessarily think. So I'm all about leveraging people's time, OPT and OPM. I like to leverage other people's money too as an investor. So I love that. What was your primary goal when you hired your first remote team member? What was your thought process, or what kind of prompted you to explore that as an option?
At that time, there was a couple of different thoughts. The first one was to reduce our outward expenditures, to reduce our payroll, but to have somebody full time and to have somebody do tasks that could be done by somebody who's remote and does not need, and as long as they're trained properly, which is the biggest part.
It is.
And that's one of the reasons why I love working with you, is because I know that you put them through like a week or two of training on your own.
I do. We have a 10-point hiring process just to even get to our clients. And then after that, I work with them for 40 hours, because you can hide for 2 or 3 hours, maybe 8 hours, maybe 16. After 16, at least on my platform, you're done. If you're not an A player, you're out. And I think that's really kind of the secret sauce that we have, is that one-on-one where we're really saving our clients a ton of time with just the wrong hire because of that system. So it's okay. It's all good.
Hold on one sec.
That's okay.
Hey, Amana, come. Yeah. My wife and son.
It's all good.
Oh, this is my he shed. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah, when I moved to Charlotte, we didn't have a 3,500 square foot home anymore because of our location. So we built like 100 square foot office outside.
It's great.
So, yeah, it's pretty awesome.
So getting back to kind of remote staff, and what was your biggest aha moment after you started working with the first professional that we placed for you? Because obviously I have a lot of clients go, well, it sounds good, but I just don't know. And once I deliver that first one, it's like, if you can just get through the first one, it's usually like hands down, no brainer. This is the best thing since sliced bread. Share with our listeners a little bit about your aha moment and kind of what clicked for you.
I'll tell you what, with every remote team member we have 2 full-time, and we only had to have one other person besides that who ended up not being a good fit. But you're always, quick to be like, look, that's not the right fit, and and to end the relationship. But it's always that the work ethic and the caringness, like their investment in the company is always such at a higher level than anybody locally that I ever hire. So, we have John and Nico, and they are, geeked up on wanting to do a great job, on wanting to be a part of the team. And if there's a thing as over communication, they're not afraid to over communicate, and I love that.
Well, that's a lot of the training that I do too, is kind of helping them understand in real world, because one part of the job, of course, when you hire is the skill set. Like, you got to have people that have the skills, but those soft skills are really kind of what make or break. And that's really where my 1 week class kind of comes in, right? I'm testing those soft skills all the time. So I love the fact that we've had such great success. How has that impacted your business by bringing in remote team members, plus or minus? Like, what would you say have been the positives, and then what would you say is something that maybe is a little challenging?
I'll tell you, the biggest positive is having since it took us about a month or two to get it squared away once we had our first remote team member. But then once we did, and once we got into a groove, starting to do virtual meetings, team meetings, daily huddles, our time as a company was spent more efficiently and has continued to move in that direction. And I'll tell you, from me now, personally, being a remote team member, my company's in Florida, I spend a hell of a lot less time than I used to spend when I was in the office with the rest of my team. Because now they'll notify me when I'm needing to be notified. Like there's not this yapping around for like I'm a direct person. I'm like a no nonsense, let's get right to the point. And not everybody's like that. And I don't have to deal with that anymore. And it's a constraint in business. It just takes longer to get something done. So the efficiency has totally increased. And I know from all of my friends in property management that have remote team members, I know that is that's uniform throughout. A challenge, I guess the only challenge is that with having a remote team member, you have to be very, very specific on the tasks that you want done. So if you can be very specific on what you want done and how you want it done, and you can train very specifically on how to do that, then I found that I have a lot of success. Those folks pick it up, they do a good job. But if I'm too vague, it could start going off in different directions, and then I don't know about it right away, and it gets frustrating. So 2 things with that. Number 1, be very specific. But number 2, also make sure that there's accountability measures in place so that people are reporting back what's been accomplished, and then if they're on track or not on track, so that you can handle it right away.
Well, it's so interesting that you said a lot in that kind of little minutes or 2 that you gave. And so I want to just summarize some things that I totally believe in too, which is once I started having regular meetings, which I actually found out from Alex Charfin back at DoorGrow in, this last year, kind of how he structures. That was a big aha moment for me. Well, I thought I had good communication with my remote team members. That took it to a different level. Like just knowing that they had that carved out time every week for me just to sit down and give them my undivided attention for whatever they needed. Like it was available for me to talk to them about something I needed, or for them to ask me for help that they needed. Totally cut down on the noise, because they always knew that unless it was an emergency, it could wait until we actually had that time together. So my interruptions in my day were tremendously reduced. And I think that if more people embrace that, they would probably have the same type of results. Again, whether it be remote or you're in-house, I don't think that really matters. I think people need to know that they have that time that you as the business owner are investing in your people. So I'm totally, on board with that. And then the second thing that you were talking about is having set expectations. And I don't know that it matters whether they're remote or whether they're in-house. I think we allow ourselves when they're in-house to kind of have a little bit of a pass, because we do catch it a little bit quicker because we're talking to them on a more regular basis, more just kind of around the water cooler. But what I found with me specifically is virtual staff or remote staff may be more of a business owner than somebody that owned a job. Like I can go away and not have to really necessarily worry about most of my businesses. Now, I still am active in certain businesses. That's because I choose to be. I mean, HireSmart, certainly if I wasn't active in that business, I don't know that we would have progressed as far as we have. But in my property management business, I maybe spend an hour or 2 hours a week, if I'm lucky. And it runs without me. Very much, I attend a meeting a week, I sign leases, and that's it. That's all I do. That's, again, it's a strength. So if I choose to sell it, which I'm not sure that I ever would, again, I have an asset that runs without my involvement. And that's the definition of a business owner rather than somebody that owns a job. So I love those 2 things. if you can think back to the hiring process when you were using HireSmart in that process, from a, kind of share with some people, because I think a lot of people think, oh my gosh, I've got to be perfect, I've got to be ready, I got to wait, I can't move forward because it's so scary. Tell people a little bit about that hiring process from your perspective. I mean, how hard was it? How easy was it? What was the experience? I think I always tell people it takes about 3 weeks from order to delivery. Sometimes that shifts a little bit depending on how busy we are, but generally I can get a team member delivered to a client in 3 to 4 weeks, versus you having to do it yourself. Kind of share people a little bit about that experience, if you don't mind.
Yeah, you find candidates for us within maximum, and results may vary, but with us, you found our candidates within like a week maximum. And you provided us, I believe, with like 3, and those were the top 3 based on DISC assessments, what we're looking for. What I like is you ask questions. So you're great in identifying your business and other people's needs, which is a key in sales. And it's asking questions. You ask questions. What are you looking for? What do you need? What do you expect? And then the type of person, so that you find success for everybody. I mean, for us anyway. So it didn't take long. And then you put them through the training. That's like a week or 2 or something. And usually they start 3 weeks after. After we engage you.
And it's pretty simple. Like, they're ready to go, right?
Yeah, I don't worry about it at all.
So for those of you that are on the fence, I'm here to tell you, I've been doing some research here to see what the average length of hire it takes for more of the people. And I'm the least amount of time to hire, give you 3 great candidates, and that you can choose from, all of them. And then we have the guarantee as well. We do a 6-month guarantee on our placements to make sure that we're helping along the way. So Jay, kind of wrap it up for us and tell us a little bit about what else you would add if anybody's considering using a remote team member, or any other words of wisdom.
I get asked the other day, how much does Ann charge? And I said, honestly, I don't know, and I don't care, because the time that it would spend me to find someone, right, to put out the ads, and I would have to have my own remote team member just doing recruiting, hiring, the interview process, right, the onboarding process. I mean, it's a nightmare, and I don't have to deal with any of that, and my time is more valuable. So any PM owners or any owners that are thinking about getting a remote team member or thinking about working with you for it, it's extremely inexpensive, and your time is more valuable. So yeah, there's no sense if there's something that can be done remotely for any one of my companies, I will first look for a remote team member, a virtual assistant, before I look to hire someone else.
Well, I thank you for that. Dan, for those of you that are asking that question, our charge is $2,495, which from a recruiter level for an entry level position, that costs you here in the US $6,000 or more. I mean, for just a basic entry level position, and we're not doing basic entry level positions, although we do have that. But a lot of our skill sets, like, Miko's an inside sales rep BDM for you, right? So, I mean, that's not somebody that here locally you could, and again, the cost for him is less than $20,000 a year. But yeah, again, that same person here in the US, at least in my area, maybe it's different for you, Jay, certainly feel free to correct me. But if I were to pay somebody that was on Miko's level for here in Atlanta, we would probably be paying them $65,000, $70,000.
Yeah, I was going to say 60 minimum, and you won't get the same work ethic. Mm-hmm. You don't get the same work ethic. I'll set Miko up with my training and his skill sets against not anybody, but a majority of ISAs, inside sales associates in the US, and he's going to beat 9 out of 10 of them.
So let me ask you a question, Jay. And again, if this isn't the right platform for it, certainly feel free to say that. But you do have a coaching program you have a training program that you provide property managers. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Are you open to new clients?
Yes. If there's a property manager or a real estate agent that's looking for sales related skills and training, I have a couple of awesome things that are going to be coming up soon,
Great.
but are not open right now. So we don't have any open enrollments, but in order to start getting acclimated with the type of training that I have, you can join the free Facebook group. And that's easy. You can just go to salescommands.com, and that will direct you to the free Facebook group where there's tons of trainings, free resources. You know, my whole goal is to give agents everything they need, right? When I say agents, I'm talking about property managers, real estate agents, because it's pretty much all the same when it comes to the sales part of it, right? The operations is completely different, but the sales part of it is very, very similar. So if you go to salescommands.com, you'll be able to get right into the free Facebook group, and you'll see all the trainings in there, the resources, and all that good stuff.
Well, that sounds great. We're going to put a link to that as well in the transcript, as well as we'll do it on our splash page at the close of this session. So Jay, thank you so much for having us and being with me today. I appreciate you so much as a client. I know you have a choice, and I'm glad that you chose us. And again, we just are excited to have all of our clients share some of the best practices. So if you want to connect with Jay, make sure that you go to salescommands.com. And again, the link will be in the in the show notes. So thanks so much, and have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, Ann. You too.